Anxiety, stress, and suspense create an opening for paranormal horror for one hyper-aware investigator called upon by a charismatic preacher from Appalachia trying to rid a small town of a supposed supernatural killer. Hi, I'm your host, Garrett K. Jones, and I'm talking with horror and suspense writer Kalvin Ellis about the first book in his Paisley Mott Mystery series for this month's Author Awareness interview. Hey, happy Saturday everybody. I feel like everything is getting right back into a steady flow, what with last week being my first top 10 video in 2 months. Now, if you didn't get to check out that video, you can do so by clicking the card right up here, or you can click the button at the end of the video. I also have some fun news. Today is my birthday. I hit the big 3-9. So with that said, what I'd like more than anything for my birthday is for you guys to help me out by promoting and supporting my YouTube channel. So you can support video content like this by purchasing merch from the store link down in the description. I have men's and women's t-shirts, a hoodie, a mug, phone cases, and posters. In fact, I'm actually doing a giveaway of this poster. Entry is free, and I'll be announcing a winner as soon as I hit 200 YouTube subscribers. You can also support this channel on Patreon. By clicking down on the link below, you'll have access to 4 budget-friendly support tiers. Each one comes with its own sweet perks, plus you'll have access to my new Discord server, which will be open tonight for 2 hours starting at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Before going any further with the video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon for notifications on new videos. You can select notifications for all videos, or you can select notifications based on your preferences. If you're watching on your phone, be sure to update those settings inside the app itself to get the most out of your viewing experience. Before this season actually ever kicked off, I was looking for new authors to interview for my channel. I put out a call on Instagram and Twitter, and fortunately I had a lot of bites. In fact, this month's author was one of the first people to sign up. So, here we go. Hey Kalvin, thanks for joining me. Tell me about what you write.
Thank you, Garrett. I greatly appreciate that. It's an honor to be on the channel. My name, Kalvin Ellis, is actually a pen name, and those familiar with the DC universe may pick up on the origins of that name. So thank you. What I typically write is horror, mystery, thriller, and suspense. That's kind of my wheelhouse. My first book, which I've got a copy here, this is the hardcover copy, In the Hills Above the Gristmill, available hardback, paperback, ebook, and an audiobook on Audible. It's available on Amazon, but you can also get it from my website, kalvinellis.com. Sorry, quick plug. So mystery, horror, thriller, and suspense, kind of where I put my focus. The first book is more mystery thriller with horror overtones. The sequel to that book, which is entitled From the Silence That Echoes Within, is a little more horror. We're kind of shifting towards that in our main character storyline, Paisley Mott. Just kind of digging deeper into more of the psychological horror and physical horror that comes along with the job that she has chosen, which is paranormal investigator. So that's kind of the focus of that. I am working on a series of short stories entitled Bury My Body Somewhere Nice. That is a series of short horror stories. Very excited about that. It's not all I write though. I actually write for a cartoon called Power Players, which is on Cartoon Network. My particular episode has not aired as of yet. COVID kind of slowed down the production of it, but it will be on air soon, and I look forward to writing some more on that show. I actually have a little character here. This is Barbarian. He is from the Power Players. Yeah, so that's what I write. I also am writing a kind of a kid's book. It's more of a middle grade fiction book entitled Heroes Wanted, Villains Need Not Apply. It's kind of a middle grade book about a young girl and discovering in high school or in middle school that she has superpowers. So that'll be fun. But yeah, those are the genres that I tend to dabble in. I do actually also write nonfiction. I don't currently have anything published right now, but I am writing it under my actual name. And that includes a parenting book, a book on leadership with heavy overtones of comic book leadership, like what are the things that make us want to follow Captain America, Iron Man, Batman, or Superman. So, and then I have a memoir that I'm working on as well.
So how did you get into writing? Was this something that you've always wanted to do, or was this something that you discovered as a recent talent?
Absolutely. Being a writer was the only thing I could ever think to be when I was younger. I had kind of a rough upbringing. I know a lot of us have, but I grew up in an area where I was not well thought of. So I got into writing at a young age as a kind of a way of escapism. My parents owned a small video store, and so I would spend a lot of time watching movies. Wanted to become a storyteller. My first passion is actually filmmaking, which is why I have this little fade-in tattoo on my arm here. It's to remind me to continue to create my story. So fade-in is the first two words in every screenplay. It starts with fade-in, and then your heading and location stuff. So yeah, I always wanted to be a writer. It really hit me around age 6, 7, when I was in first, second grade. I wrote a short story that became kind of a hit at the school. Unfortunately, it was for the wrong reasons. I had entitled it Ram-Ho, meaning it to be a combination of Rambo and Santa Claus. And so it became Ram-Ho. And the tagline, because I grew up in a video store, so everything had a tagline, it said Ram-Ho. And then underneath, in big block letters, it said, "This year, he's not saying ho, he's saying yo." It was a cheesy joke, but it made everybody laugh. I thought they were laughing at how clever I was. Instead, they were laughing at the fact that I had named the title of my book Ram-Ho. So either way, I loved the attention that it garnered and really enjoyed it from then. So ever since then, I have just loved writing, and it has been a passion of mine. Unfortunately, I have been incredibly busy the last 40 years, so I haven't had a whole lot of time to write, but we're changing that now.
So what are some of the inspirations that you draw from as a writer?
Yeah, so a lot of my inspiration, as far as writers go, Stephen King's my number one, as I'm sure most writers of my generation are fans of his. He has kind of really motivated me to do the work. I started reading him at a much too young age. But I just really fell in love with him. I'm actually wearing a It shirt right now. I have Stephen King books all around me. I've got a Creep Show. I'm obsessed. If you go out in my living room, I have a huge bookshelf full of Stephen King things. So, yeah, he has been the biggest inspiration for me. And I know that is cheesy and cliche, but it's a cliche because it's true. Oftentimes cliches become cliches because of the ring of truth that they have. So Stephen King has been my number one inspiration. I'm also incredibly inspired by people like Jonathan Mawberry, who can write in such a wide range of genre and still be entertaining, as well as prolific. He just pumps out books, and they're all really good. So Jonathan Mawberry's huge. Joe Hill. And I say that as Joe Hill is like obviously because Stephen King connection, but I believe on his standalone, he is an amazing writer as well. So I do love Joe Hill. Ernest Cline, Ready Player One. I've got them over here. They're load-bearing books at the moment, so I'm not going to pull them out. Ready Player One, Ready Player Two to a lesser degree, but Ready Player One, great book. He's kind of inspiring because he kind of showed me you could just write what you want to write. Just throw it out there. And, it's your book. And then as far as outside of writers, filmmakers, I'm also hugely inspired by Steven Spielberg, Quentin Tarantino, the directors most people are inspired by. But then also M. Night Shyamalan, not necessarily for his execution of all of his work. Some of it is brilliant, some of it not so brilliant, but it was the dedication to his vision that he has that I really like. So, dude swings for the fences hard, so I appreciate that greatly. So I kind of aspire to be that as well. So when I was I made a film, a Stephen King film a couple years ago for the Dollar Baby Film Project. I did an interview, and in the interview they asked me if I had a superpower that helped with creating story, what would that be? And we came up with cinematic superimposition, because everything I see in life, I always categorize it. Like, I'll be like, that would make a good prop. That would make a good shooting location. That would make a good storyline. That person would make a good character. So every time I see something or hear something, I categorize it in my head. And I draw so much inspiration for that, because I'll meet somebody and say, that's an interesting person. What if that person was in this scenario? And then it starts to kind of seed the ideas for my story. So I get inspiration from all around.
Now, what has been one of the hardest parts or the biggest challenges in the creation of your work?
My biggest challenge, like most writers, is myself. I get in my own way. I will tell myself I need to sit down and focus on writing, and I'll do that for about 10 seconds. And then I'll say, well, the writing's not coming, so I just need to research. Kind of grease the wheels a little bit, get something rolling. And so I will, like most writers, I will dive into the research. And by doing that, I fall down rabbit holes of YouTube and Wikipedia and various websites of bottomless resort. So I'll just go through all this stuff, and then by the time I'm actually ready to write, I've wasted all my writing time. So most writers, that is my biggest issue. I've also been slowed, not only because I chose to focus on different things. I've been slowed by my career and having children. So I'm a father of 3 kids, and after my divorce, I got custody of my kids, and I've really put a lot of time and effort into them over the last 14, 15 years. So I've put a lot of time and effort into them in the 22 years that I've been a father, but over the last 15 years, actually 16 years since their mother and I split up, that has kind of been my primary focus. And so, and I'm only saying this as a warning to those that might be listening, I put away my writing to focus on fatherhood. And I don't regret focusing on fatherhood, but I do regret putting away the writing. There was always time to write. There was 10, 15, 20 minutes at night that I had that I thought, 10, 15, 20 minutes isn't enough to write, so I'm not going to do it. Because I'm, I should be this far ahead in a book. I should be at 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 words, and I'm not. So if I only have 15 minutes, that's not going to be enough to catch up. But that is backwards thinking. So it's that thinking that really got me in trouble. And so that is my biggest issue, is just not being able to sit down and do the work. Because every word is important. The only bad word is a word you don't put to paper. So what's the saying, that you can't edit a blank page? So yeah, that's my biggest problem. Too many blank pages.
So last question, if you could give any advice for other would-be authors out there, what would you say to them?
Yeah, great question. I actually have a YouTube channel that has a couple of videos. I haven't put one up since June. My work with inside the pandemic has slowed things down a little bit. So unfortunately, YouTube videos took a back seat. But I have a couple of videos there that are geared towards new writers. And there's some good advice there. But if I could only give one piece of advice, it kind of touches back to what I had just said. Just get the writing done. Sit down and do it, even if it's only for 15 minutes a day. If you don't mind, I'd like to share a little story about kind of what freed me up and how I wrote this book mostly in just 15 minutes a day. And it's that I have a writing mentor who is his name probably wouldn't, you might not recognize it, but you definitely recognize his work. And we became friends, and I told him that I was struggling with writing, and he told me to email him every single week. At the end of every week, I am to email him with just a single word, and that word is complete. But I was only allowed to email him that one word, complete, if I wrote every single day, all 7 days a week. The thing is, I only had to write 15 minutes. Didn't have to be much. 15 minutes, because anybody can find 15 minutes to write. So I would find 15 minutes a day to write every single week, because I wanted to be able to send that email that said complete. And so I would sit down, usually at the end of the day, right before I went to bed, once the kids were in bed and my girlfriend was asleep. I'd sit down and I'd put those 15 minutes to work for me. Sometimes it was really tough. Sometimes I knew I wouldn't want to do it when I got home or before I went to bed, so I would stick it in my lunch hour at work. I would just sit down for lunch hour and bang out 15 minutes worth of words. Sometimes I'd get a couple hundred words in 15 minutes. Sometimes I would get 15 or 20, and that's okay. The important thing was that for 15 minutes a day, I lived the life of being a writer. And the words were important. The words that I put down on the page in that 15 minutes were important, but the more important thing was the fact that 15 minutes a day, every single day, I could call myself a writer. And that was important. That was what really changed things, because after 6 months of being able to write complete every week, I realized that's it, I'm a writer. I'm not yet an author because I wasn't published yet, but I was a writer, and there was power in that. And because of that, I found 30 minutes a day. And I went up to an hour a day. And then my time became word count. And so instead of writing an hour a day, I would say 2,000 words. Or if I felt like I had a big deadline that I wanted to hit, I'd go up to 2,500 words a day. And because I had the habit of doing it, it became a lot easier. So my advice to all new writers: hold yourself accountable to it. Just put in the time every single day. Doesn't matter how much time it is, put it in every day. You'll thank yourself for it, I promise. Hey, thanks, Garrett. Really appreciate the fact that you give independent authors another platform.
A big thank you goes out to Kalvin Ellis for his participation in this month's Author Awareness interview. Now, if you'd like to get a better look at his book, In the Hills Above the Gristmill, you can follow him on social media, and you can connect with him on his website. His book is also available in Amazon in 3 formats. You can find it in paperback, in Kindle ebook, or like what I'm doing, on audiobook through Audible. All of those links are down in the video description. Hey, thanks for watching. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, because that is how this channel is going to be able to grow its viewership. Remember to sign up as a channel supporter by heading on over to patreon.com/GKJ Publishing, where you'll have access to 4 support tiers of $1, $3, $5, and $20. Each tier comes with access to my new Discord server, sweet tier level perks, and of course, special promotions. Connect with me on Instagram and Twitter at GKJ_publishing. And when you do, hit up the merch store. That way you can rep an item easily by posting a pic to social media of you wearing or holding the item, and then tagging me with the hashtag 5kingdomsmerch. I'd love to feature your pics in a future video. That's it from me. I'm gonna go celebrate my birthday. I'll see you guys next week for Creator's Corner, where I will be discussing more character insights. Thanks for watching. The vlog of the 5 Kingdoms is filmed without the use of a live audience at Skyrocket Studios in Hanford, California. We can't do what we do without your help, so please make sure to subscribe by clicking the button that's above my head, and make sure to watch and share the videos over here to my left. Have a great week.